Peace be upon you. I do apologize for my voice. In the morning is the worst. July, Lianic energy. So, last night, I had a vision. It's been a while, but since there is deceptions, as my defenses have been breached a while back, and I've been struggling against, well, spirits, basically, that seek to manifest and prevent me from continuing the work. But since I've been extremely sick as well, constantly, it has affected me physically, so I cannot always do what needs to be done in order to rebuild back my protection. Basically, it's based on my level of faith, renew my covenants, and so on. But sometimes they can breach, whereas they can actually appear, manifest, express in your physical realm. Sometimes it impacts you directly, mentally, physically, emotionally. They can start translating as some form of a repetitive, either apparition, sound, etc. But last night I had an actual vision. So I strongly feel that I've discerned that it is a vision that comes straight from source. In no manner was it corrupted, even though in the vision itself there was fear trying to prevent me from, by use of certain symbols, etc., to prevent me from reaching to the point where I would be sitting in front of a vessel. Of course, my mind will interpret it. A vessel of the Most High, what one may call messenger or angel, and in this case, it's a blue-eyed, younger version of the elderly man that I once connected to once I've crossed the bridge. In this case, it was about limitation, whereas it was very mundane. I was in the kitchen, but all of a sudden, a very tall male presence came and removed my sink and narrowed down my kitchen. Kitchen is about preparation, nurturing, doing one's task, and feeding the world. Feeding also mean, being a vessel for whatever wisdom, feeding the mind, feeding the spirit, feeding the soul. And the water, as in my connection to water, therefore subconscious intuition, was taken from me as if it was no longer necessary. But I was confused about what I was supposed to be doing next. And then I found something that's sometimes associated with anything to do with birds, but scorpionic spirit, sometimes Sagittarian, in the chickens or roosters. But it's also a symbolism that ties in back with the egg, right? Conception, etc. So I was selling chickens that had something that is dreadful to most anyone, but to me specifically, it was extremely problematic. But I was doing it, even though I didn't like it. So I was trying to sell the chickens. That was all I had left to do, apparently. I found chickens roaming around and decided to take them away. And I knew there was something wrong about the chickens. Worms were sprouting from them, specifically from the head of the chicken that I was holding, trying to give it to a lady. And the lady actually took the chicken, even though he was sick, and told me, confirmed to me, unsolicited, you do know that what you're seeing here, the sign that this chicken has on its head, is representative of parasites. They are riddled with parasites and worms. And this means that you yourself as well may want to check, because pretty sure that you have them as well. So I'm taking it from you to protect you, basically, because you may get it yourself. Okay, as I try to return and pondering this issue, return not sure where, to the location, to the kitchen, because apparently where I was living, it was all around this kitchen in the middle of nowhere that no longer had a sink, so I was unable to access water. And okay, what am I going to do next? As I approached the kitchen, it seems as if this man that I initially saw going there and literally in the kitchen, I didn't see him doing the stuff, but I was turned with my back, and the moment I turned back, almost as if he snapped his fingers and removed the sink, and the kitchen therefore was shorter. And there was nothing in it, empty. Now the same man appeared from behind the kitchen, like almost out of darkness, coming into the same location, the kitchen. Let's say that maybe it's this table here, right? And appeared and just gazed at me, almost as if saying, you know, you passed the test. You did what you had to do. No matter how unpleasing, no matter whether it affected you, So this is the interpretation of the dream. Now the man specifically had a set of eyes that would obviously be bright. So scriptural wise, this can have so many significances, but generally, since it's associated with the fact of the lacking water, it means that this is going to work for someone else right now, someone just as intuitive, just as because it was a marine spirit due to the eyes, but the fact that they were glazing, it was a benign marine spirit, right? They were basically bright, shining bright, same blue eyes. And as he gazed at me, the first instinct was to shy away because the eyes were just so bright. And I looked back, I looked straight into his eyes. Said no word, but somehow what I received, basically in my mind, so telepathically, was you passed the test. I was watching you. Don't worry, I'm watching. I will remove what is not necessary. I will protect you. And I see that you are faithful. You're doing what needs to be done. Even when you don't have the resources, even when you always keep at it, keep doing what you are called to do, regardless of the circumstances. It's genuine walking in faith, as in, it seems almost a bit spontaneous and almost like blind faith to a point, whereas you just take what you have available and let yourself be guided. Because I did, as I picked the chicken, I said, where did this chicken come out of? But not too many questions, as if it was natural that I have to go do something with this chicken. So I just picked it up and went about trying to sell it. And all of a sudden, doors, not homes, doors appeared, and people were coming out of the door, as if, almost as if they were waiting for me to go sell them this chicken. A chicken that was sick, a chicken that I received no money for. I wasn't actually genuinely selling it. I was just giving it to them. Here's your sick chicken. And in return, they took it from me so that I wouldn't get sick. This is my sickness. This is the representation of what we need to address, externalized in the form of a chicken. So death and transformation, right? So it's about collective work, each of us doing our part out of unconditional love, doing what needs to be done. Some give, others take. Each of us, however we guided, out of pure faith. And everything seems to fix itself, even there where we have lack. Challenges appear. We thought we were doing something the right way. There's no real strategy. You have to move as you are guided. The sink disappeared. Okay, what then now? Well, what are we going to do? We're not just going to give up, right? Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, things that you never even saw that were there available appear, like the chicken. And you have to recognize them as an opportunity, even though you feel something's off about them or they're problematic, or because I felt these are sick chicken. What am I doing with these? And you guided, and again, I was basically selling them. I guess my mind was trying to explain what I was doing with them. But in reality, I was just walking in complete out of nowhere. So no expectations, no strategy, no intention whatsoever per se. It's just my mind that was trying. I guess I'm going to sell them because I need to do something. I'm here to participate in some manner. And this is what we're working with, I guess. And I was just like icky in this understanding that I was holding a very sick chicken that could make me sick. Much like dwelling into, the shadow aspects of others. It can affect you, it can impact you, and it's not the people, it's the forces that we work against, right? So you just go, and out of nowhere, there it goes. Doors start appearing, they open up, people come out, and you guided to those specific people, not all of them. So I only saw this lady, that I didn't clearly see her face. We interacted rather with hands, what was being exchanged. So it's about integration, harmonizing inner masculine and feminine, so on, shadow work. And they took it from me. Somehow they were expecting me. Somehow they themselves were also living so spontaneously, whereas they didn't question where they were, where's the rest of their house, who am I, why do they need to take that chicken, and how do they know that the chicken is sick? How are they so quick to recognize the chicken was sick? And the sickness was coming out of the chicken's head, and it was covered. And they somehow immediately said, no, those are worms. They're infected by worms. Now, what do worms represent? They're crucial in the process of transformation, right? Blind worms. They're not supposed to use any other senses because the whole purpose is rather chemical. It's basic, but it's the most important. Because we could argue there's no intelligence there, but yet they stemmed from the chicken's head. And she took it from me as if, thank you, almost as if they were grateful, but at the same time reminding me of, you're going to get sick, you most likely already are. I'm supposed to, as in, how can I tap into someone else's darkness if I haven't faced my own? Of course I'm sick. I've had to experience said sickness. For example, how we constantly try to rationalize what otherwise should be some form of having an awakening or a transcendental experience, or a meeting with any expression of God, some elevated thought, some insight, a vision, a dream, a perception. And the mind keeps trying to rationalize it. And as we know, enemy, quote unquote, the battle is in the mind over the hearts of men, right? And it reminded me as I woke up, the first thing is the parasite that takes over the ants, right? And leads them out of the colony and so on. But before it does, it will try and affect the dynamic in the colony. But is the ant doing it? No. It has a parasite, and the parasite will use the host and lead it to a point where it can continue its cycle, for example, up on a branch out of the colony, and they do it in such a manner whereas the rest of the colony doesn't even realize that the ant is actually infected, to be able to send it away. No, it doesn't realize. It's the ant that's going to go while everybody else is distracted. Whom are the ants that are going to get the parasite? The worker ants, because they have more access to all the resources of sustenance and so on. They're the most active. They can reach most of the colony. They're crucial. So then it hit me. It's what's going on with the best of people, the ones that we need the most capable, the most resourceful, the most. So, even if you feel that you're somehow unwell or not working to the best of your potential, even in that sense, God is using you. And you do have a guide. And whenever you pass a test, you have this beautiful reintegration of a divine aspect, almost as if it was the embodiment of some beautiful attribute that translated in the presence of this angel in human form, right? Of which all you can see is the eyes. So eye is back to providence, divinity, our connection with the Most High. And it reminds us that even though you may be blind, you may have the most insightful and focused gaze, and you may actually physically be blind, you can sense and navigate by just mere senses. And again, back to the worms, especially when it comes to you fulfilling your purpose. You can allow yourself to be more instinctive, because even in what you perceive to be your faulty attributes, or your problematic, or not perfect, or not up to par to some standard, or you're still being used, even if it doesn't make any sense to you or anyone else. And in that process, you're going to connect with the next person that's going to supposed to do their part in this whole process, right? I took the chicken, but in order for me to do so, to see the chicken and do this and bring it to the next person, and from there on, I have no control what they're going to do with it. Some intervention had to occur, whereas the circumstances were in such a manner laid out there, whereas I could see the chicken and I had nothing else to do. Basically, I was stuck because the sink disappeared, so I had no access to water. Okay, what now? So I guess on a personal level is all my limitations and all my health scares, and that constantly, told me, no, I can't do this. Yet somehow I still did it, even if when it was hard, when it was dysfunction, when I couldn't speak, when I couldn't stand, where I couldn't think. I became a vessel for something that, even though it didn't make sense, I guess the reward for that was this revelation of not working on my own. Because there can be a spiritual ego that rises, whereas you feel almost as if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Well, the others. All you're called to do is your part and leave the rest to the next and the other. But can we genuinely start feeling as if everything we have to do, is dependent strictly on us? No, we work in tandem, as in in this plan, whatever your divine purpose is currently, at whichever stage, there will be someone else involved. It's how it connects us all and has us all do our part. Not more, not less. However redundant, however. Anyway, let's look. So it's about courage, clarity, healing, illumination, and some confirmation of divine protection and guidance. In other words, the blind see you better. Trust those who cannot see you, whatever self, right? Because they will genuinely see your intentions, your heart. And what they will tell you is the only thing that genuinely matters. They will tell you how proud of you they truly are, even though they can't see you. They've never seen your actions. They've never seen your failures or your successes, who you are, the color of your skin. What they see is your essence. And the fact that they see you, even though they don't, and they show up at a moment where you feel, this person doesn't even know me. But somehow, without even saying anything, their mere existence or presence reflects back to you a version of you that you yourself can actually feel very proud of. It restores that serenity. So I did do the right thing. So I am on the right path. Even though it seemed so wrong. Even though it seemed like a complete failure. I mean, what did I achieve here? Nothing. I left with a chicken that I don't know where it came from. At my own expense, right? Because I risked my own health. So it's about self-preservation and the test of selflessness. And also the test of faith, because you're literally walking towards nowhere. There's no plan, there's no expectation there, there's no, and you just go in faith that, you know, the rest will appear as you go along, and you're not trying to control what that is. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, but I'm just going to walk, and there I go, walk. And obviously someone else at the same time, in the same spirit, was being aligned with, you know, you now go to the door, open the door. They didn't know why, and there I come, and they just take it naturally and know instinctively what to do and what the situation is all about. They take the chicken, most probably they don't know what they're going to do with it themselves, but they take it and, you know, carry it through. And the fact that we have July and it's Leonic energy, the fire of courage, but also it's Christ consciousness in the sense of the inner child, higher self, fulfilling one's purpose, agency, divine agency, most importantly, joy and gratitude, children and innocence, purification, rebirth. It's a masculine force, whereas you act out of a knowing and with joy and purpose. So growth after transformation, liberation, expansion. Having the ability to find joy in what you are and what you do every time you are honest or true to yourself. It's also the work. So active force, energy, the passion. So back to Christ consciousness. The work that we have to do as a collective in order to restore, or rather shift the energy into a more positive and expansive one. So there you have it. This is one of the visions I usually have, and I don't ponder on them usually. They'll reveal themselves, and they'll, you know, you don't have to think about them afterwards. Whatever work you needed to be doing, and you've done it in that state, whether it's lucid dreaming or actual deep sleep, it's the same frequency basically, or in the waking state, as some of us actually experience. But yeah, birth. Okay, the chicken is going to be sacrificed. It has to do with fertility. As I said, the chicken has to do with fertility, eggs, back to the primordial egg and so on, the womb, cycles, the worlds. See them as incubation chambers, right? The circle of life, etc. Ouroboros, the spheres, the worlds, the planets, the sun. The chicken is going to be sacrificed. It has to be sacrificed. That's the message. It's back to children again. My initial vision was about holding, you know, children that were not alive by feminines dressed in black. Like almost as if they were in a graveyard, but right behind a monastery, and they were just sitting around like NPCs, but not even moving whatsoever. And their gaze and their shift was strictly focused on, well, these babies, enveloped, wrapped, dead babies, dead dreams. That not long after, we've witnessed, I remember the iPad goat video, And when I saw the scene, I said, oh my goodness, this is it. This is what's going to happen. And not long after it came to pass. We're witnessing mothers mourning their innocent, passed on children. In an actual sense, right? So in this case, it's about, I guess also in a very practical sense, about not consuming meat. The moon, sun and moon energy here, 5, transformation definitely. And as I intuitively felt, the marine spirit that keeps coming up, even in readings, this can be a benign spirit. And physical wise, for the sisters, here's the moon, for the sisters that have the emptiness, the void of their counterpart, this translates as someone coming forward. They themselves, they don't know how or why they're guided towards you. And you know it when they look at you. Yep, you'll know it when they look at you, the book. You'll know, knowing when they look at you. Here's the marine spirit, King of Cups. This is someone that was already, it's starting to come to form, or rather closer and closer at a very intuitive, if you want to, psychic, emotional level. Is where the genuine, the actual wisdom lies, in the waters. So the waters need to break, and apparently they've already broken. As in, you pierce through your subconscious, you had the dark night, at least the initial stages of it, the shocks, the pain, some form of a spiritual death needed to occur here. And this is also associated with the waters in the sense of baptism, but also with the stage of birth where something should have been born already in the world. But what? Right? What gives here? Okay, I get it, but what gives? Why was I supposed to be going? So lacking in understanding of the fruits of the sacrifices that you've made. The phrase comes back to mind, what is done, let it be done for good, extra joker. You have no control. And the surprise will not be as surprising or shocking as you feel it would, because again, it will come as a confirmation. Within your very heart and conscience, it will ring like, okay, yeah, I guess I always knew it. I was doing the right thing. I did the right thing. Even though the reward is not going to translate in any manner that, your mind would try to convey or express, or this is all done by spirit. From spirit to spirit. So you were definitely true as much as possible to any inner guidance that you've received, to your conscience, despite it leading to failure, to not being able to manifest some, to birth anything per se, or at least not what you were supposed to, or you felt you were supposed to. What you conquered here is hidden knowledge, let's call it. Deeper wisdom, conquering the secrets, earning the ability to pass through a gate, let's just say, whereas now you have deeper insight. From now on, you gotta trust your intuition. In the physical, it simply means the appearance of your counterpart. They appear as a knight, not to save you, not to, almost again as a confirmation. The first thing they will do is restrict something from you, take something from you, whether it's a belief, it may be just by their mere existence or their behavior that will shatter the belief of you not being worthy of love, for example. They take that from you. And that's a big aspect of someone who, in their journey, has currently experienced disappointment, etc. It's important because it's a big aspect of who you thought yourself to be, right? It's based on actual experience. nobody loves me, for example. They'll shatter that instantly. They take something that you felt that you absolutely needed, a source, whether it's income, whether it's the house, whether it's a mindset, whether it's a belief, whether it's a longing for an ex, for example, whether it's a childhood trauma, they'll shatter it instantly. It's gone, it's taken, there's nothing you can do about it. But it is for your highest good. They come to take initially something that's no longer belongs there. And you experience something as if an ending or a death. But instantly at the same time, you see the beginning. You see it. You see it. There's a sun. It's right. I see it. I see it now. So it's almost as if having a complete desert in front of you. There's no more potential. What am I going to do now? The very source of my, what moved me when it comes to taking actions, or it's gone. Where's my sink? Where's my water? What am I going to do now? Well, you're not going to cook anymore. That's for sure. Fire on the heart. Better pondering or assessing your actions, their consequences, and so on. And yeah, trampling the snake. Yes. So, your counterpart is being guided towards you. You're ready. Just continue to be dysfunctional. Just continue to fight against whatever self that rises, especially in the mind space, with ideas and thoughts and expectations and memories, and just continue to fight against that. Always choose the heart. You're on the right path. That's what I'm coming to tell you. And I know you've lost a lot of resources and opportunities, and trust that it will be worth it in the end. And this is not because I'm trying to keep you in that, to motivate you in continuing to stay true to your inner guidance that you constantly receive, by the way, only in hopes for the reward. Just know that the reward is going to be based on the measure of the courage that you have to always trust your own intuition. Anything else, question it. External thoughts, etc. Because we call them principalities of air, because air is associated with the mind and so on, the workings of the mind. But the heart, the fire on the heart, hence why they call it the passion of Christ, the spines are around the heart as well, to shield and protect the heart, and the heart is inflamed. It's that spark in the heart that we always speak of, for genuine connection, for the truth and nothing but the truth, for dwelling and genuinely doing the shadow work, integration of the anima and so on. The heart is the seat of the Holy Spirit, which is your communication straight back to source. It's the only thing that contains any semblance of truth within any of us. This is also a reminder of a concept that is not well understood general-wise, and I'm not going to go into the depth of that because I don't even claim to have the ability to do so. But the heart, the cup, right? This is a stage whereas you genuinely, finally, come into the spark of the collective soul that you truly are. Hence water, baptism, purification, rebirth out of water. The earth, manifestation, was birthed out of the waters. The spirit moves over the waters. But in the waters, there's also where the shadow work is to be done. The hidden, the veil, the subconscious, moon energy, right? It's also where the dragons come from. It's also where the creatures lurk, marine spirits and so on. Sirens, monsters, Loch Nesses, monsters, whatever. All reside in the depths of the waters. So symbolically, it's what we do The equivalent would be doing, the shadow work and going into the subconscious. So at this point, there was a need, and there is obviously a need. You're at the stage where this will translate as having some form of a vision or transcendental experience, or experiencing something in reality at that level of intensity, whereas it will shift your entire vibration to the point whereas reality itself starts to shift, in the sense of you starting to see the actual nature of it, reading through the code, much like Neo, for example, and you're starting to see that everything is a means to an end, what their degree is, what their purpose and role is. You're going to put your ego to rest in trying to control any of it, but it also gives you the wisdom to navigate. So in other words, you did conquer your soul, basically. You've embraced your very spirit, you received it fully for what it is, what it's meant to be, what beyond whatever you may identify with as an individual. Does that make sense? This is what we define as receiving your soul. Because none of us have it. There's also a concept in Kabbalah about being born dead and working towards, right? Because the knowledge leads to some death. Whenever you find something, hence why they say ignorance is bliss. Whenever you conquer something, you die, of a previous version of you or an idea dies. And now you're at the bottom of it, where you're finally ready as a vessel to receive your very spirit, Holy Spirit if you want, Christ consciousness, the Lion of Judah, right? And therefore now you're actually born again. You're actually born, not in the physical, but actual spiritual wise. You've received fully, consciously, your very soul. So from now on, all you can do is receive your purpose. Since you have done it, apparently there's a counterpart, not for, obviously, this is not going to apply to most people. This is for someone at this specific degree, whereas out of whatever we perceive as loss, depression, etc., you're in reality ready to also meet your other half. The eyes will tell you. The eyes, as what? Because the soul, right? Through the eyes, yeah, will tell you the knowledge. Beyond words, beyond whatever. Physicality doesn't matter when you meet your other half. How you look, who you are, how much money you have, etc. And that's your confirmation. This masculine is being guided by Holy Spirit, so they themselves have conquered their own soul. They're in the heart, you see. Okay. Trials of water, also water snake, I hear energy. But it's a water snake that stems out to, spew fire. The fire of spirit, basically. The eternal living fire. So it's a self-sacrifice, a spirit of self-sacrifice that led you to this point. You can have what others cannot even dream of at the stages that they're currently in. Dreaming about them will only lead them to pain. They gotta go through all the stages. 10 of Swords in reverse. Family quarrels, distant pecuniary losses in reverse. The death and transformation, the letting go, the ancestors never allowed you to go past the point that you could not come back from. 10 of Swords is those spirits that can ultimately lead someone to also madness, which we're having running rampant nowadays. Just be very careful, especially in the spiritual community, because people are overtaken and they're to the point of, being dangerous. They simply weren't ready, nor did they have the heart for it, the actual degree. and they were bombarded with all this information. And the last thing you want to give people is, you know, some form of a philosophy, especially when they're overtaken already and have no control over their mind space anymore. So mental illness and spirituality do not, and I repeat, do not work well together. There's a reason why we found another way around it via, for example, therapy, psychology, and so on. Because it addresses strictly the rationale, right? That, as in, if my wound is on my arm, let's focus on that. And I agree. The reason why it doesn't work is because we're not addressing the root cause of it. The issue is you cannot go against free will, and many people are overtaken by egoism and forces of darkness, and they're not even an exorcist. That's why exorcism doesn't always work. Some may have invited those forces in. I wish someone would call me, right? And no one can really, unless you will just try to reveal to them about what their desire could actually lead to. But ultimately, we cannot stop someone from wanting what they want. So they wanted it, they brought it upon themselves. Greed, avarice, lust, etc. Those are all triers. They have to defeat those dragons. Ambition. You were stopped in your tracks when it comes to you feeling as you finally found what you were seeking for. No, because you were indiscriminately, that's what's going to be taken from you. This idea that everything goes, let's just pour the information in me, give it to me. I want to know everything. Nuh-uh. Not everything is relevant to you. You may have either learned it in a previous existence, you will in the next, it doesn't matter. Focus. Path is narrow. You got to make choices. You were never really allowed to lose your schlit, even though you indiscriminately. That's why you were vulnerable in that sense. Pursued some information, and you couldn't master or control or even discern amidst your own, what you've embraced as your own, thoughts, ideas, concepts. So therefore you became kind of a victim of your own thoughts, basically, at the mercy of them. And you kept adding and piling up. It's as if, you know, you give a shoemaker all the materials, they pile up to mountains and expect them to do anything with all of those mountains. It's a huge task ahead, and you need to give them a good reason on why and where would they start, and that's going to be based on some, at least, discernment, some ability, some courage to start picking them one by one and start working on them. Otherwise, they remain a pile of shoes of no use to anyone. As a matter of fact, it's quite a waste. The shoemaker may go mad in trying to determine, and that's what happened here. You lost the determining will or factor or discernment or ability because you got disconnected from spirit. Then again, in the depths of darkness, that's exactly what happens, except most don't make it back up. Divine intervention, 6 of Wands, victory. But this experience is going to be like lightning, defying the laws that we understand rationally as natural laws, scientific phenomena, and so on, right? Whatever you try to explain with the mind, this will literally, as an example, when the lightning strikes, right before it does, there's a shift, whereas your very hair will go up on your head, right? Electricity. It means cleaning out all the piles of confusing, irrelevant, or corrupt, or heavy knowledge, information, memories, thoughts. The battle is in the mind space that prevented you from achieving that aha. Well, now there it is, illumination. Strikes out of nowhere. It has to. And the shift. So the issue here is that you thought you were involved in some form of a process that should take this, and the more information I gather and the more I stick to something, and no, in reality, receive it when your heart is ready. It comes from above, in other words. And it comes like lightning, and you don't expect it, you don't plan it, you don't project it. When does it come? When there's a vessel or a heart to receive it. How does it translate? As some form of a danger or death, or yes, a danger to everything you thought you knew, to everything you were, to your dreams, to your plans, to your expectations, or the world's expectations of you. One more card, the 4. The doors are closed to the dishonest, to the unloving, to the untruthful, to the hasty, to the egoist. The doors will always be closed. The doors to Gan Eden, to heaven itself, is closed, especially those on the twin flame journey that have this inner knowing that in this incarnation, in this cycle, they're supposed to be meeting the twin flames. Anything else on the side that you may think you're conquering and it hasn't helped you, you are seeking for information in order to connect with your twin flame. It's not how it works. The same way it doesn't work for you to just be passionately in love with someone and hope to be worthy of, moving to the next spiritual degree. No. They're interconnected, absolutely, but ultimately, to each their own. You got to take each stage for what it is, even if it doesn't make sense. Yes, do the redundant. Yes, you do something that doesn't make sense even to you, because you feel the call to do so. And then the reward is that it's going to be proven to you that, again, you're not alone, that you're a part of a bigger plan, etc., etc., etc. That all your sacrifice is not in vain, except the shadow doesn't get the reward for it. The reward that it wanted, that it expected. But it does get the reward that it's rightfully theirs. In this case, yes, you've done the work. Especially for those who've chosen to be alone and have genuinely done the work. Your conception of home, house, family, marriage, foundations, all of them were wrong, or stemming from the wrong place. Or there was a spirit that was literally trying to cover or define it in such a manner in order to have you pursue it. Obviously, it knows your nature, and you need genuine, worthwhile values or principles or ideals in order for you to continue on a path, even though when it's proven itself over and over again to be absolutely destructive, further self-isolating and so on. So this is the concept of, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And this is a counterfeit form of faith that's actually ego masquerade. You're only doing this because you're hoping for a specific something to come out of it. Only when you release that and you do it for the sake of doing it, for fulfilling your part, etc., that you get the reward for it. So in other words, be courageous to do what you feel called to do, and struggle against whatever took over or a hold of your mind. Those who do receive based on merit their reward, because nature always gives us based on merit exactly what we need. And the fulfillment of ourselves is not strictly limited to us being happy. It's about us having what we feel we need and leading us to a state whereas we can continue to do whatever we're called to do. Make someone laugh, make someone cry, make whatever. however we may participate. So all that is receiving based on previous actions, which grant you, as in it opens a new door. There are new elements, new skills, new abilities, right? We experience it as the passing of time and experience and wisdom. And there it is, new elements to work with. You gotta keep on moving. That's what transformation is all about. And there, then again, it's the challenge of the ego rising. What can I get out of it? What's in it for me, etc., etc., etc. Which is again, it's a natural process. Then you gotta make that difficult choice in between the ego and the heart, but only if the heart wins. Then, if that voice of your conscience is louder than whatever thought is consuming you at the time, or desire, carefully, and if they don't align in the heart, genuinely, if your intuition does not somehow feel good in the heart, as in, even if it doesn't make sense, and all you have is that shattering box over there, you're stupid, and it's based on information, preconditioning, memories, history of yours or anyone else's. Know that all of those can, and usually are, most of the times, at least to the 50% lies, or misinterpretation, or confusion, all to do with ego. But the heart and the conscience, they never lie. That's the only thing that evil has no access to. Never. Anything else can be corrupted. Your senses, etc., etc. This is a world where everything is flipped upside down, corrupted, reversed. Knight of Swords. The all-pervading God, number 58. Yeah, we had the 5 over there, 8 over here. Let's choose the card. Where is it? No, 4, 4, 10, 10, okay. 7, we were lacking the 8. 4, 7 and 2 is 9. Yes, look, something is coming to complete. A very confusing puzzle, as if it's binding them all in a manner that makes sense. It finally clicks for you. Intellectual richness protects fertility of women, makes children respectful towards their parents. This also gives the ability for you to forgive your parents, general-wise. I understand you did not receive any of the things that you thought you needed or wanted. But in reality you didn't, because here you stand. You're receiving what's rightfully yours. And that is a lot more magnificent and miraculous and beautiful. You connecting with the understanding of eternal life. So therefore defeating fear. So the fire always aims upward. Much like the tree of life. Everything goes back up, right? Well, what fuels it is air, the right actions, of course, but behind them there's also the ability to choose the right inspired idea, thought, mental process for you to actually act. And until you do, you have to consult over what truly feels like alive or purposeful within your heart. And then act on it. Harahel. Intellectual richness, most definitely. So your counterpart comes with this energy to cut out deception, lies, false hopes, false ideals, false. At least that's how you're going to perceive them. They're coming to take something from you. And that's your shadow right there revealing itself, and you can finally see it. No, this person is not harming me. This is it's me. This is me. This is a part of me. They're not seeking to harm me. It's time I put my shadow to rest, or at least I acknowledge its workings and how it's always been there, lurking, working in the background. So courage means less questioning what you feel and more willingness to follow those impulses, those spiritual insights and calls. And so leading back to truth, authenticity, standing and fighting for it, embodying it, being it. So as I said, only in truth can you ever find any amount of healing or progress. And in this case, at this degree, at this level of spiritual advancement specifically, this is someone who is ready to meet their counterpart. Now that you see the dishonesty, the spirit of the deception, dishonor, and you literally trample over it. The book that we saw, oh, you see, you trample it, the snake, and you blind it, right? The book, the knowledge that it's completed, or rather is revealed by your counterpart. What genuine knowledge is, knowledge of the heart, spiritual wisdom. Very advanced masculine, so are you. Obviously you're going to be complementary, you're a lot more rational, and they may act as if they're a lot harsher and colder and more rational and detached, but in reality they're acting out of the heart. No. Cancer, Leo, Sag, with strong water. So Aquarius energy, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. Do not discount your imagination, for it is through an inspired thought, as in it raises from the subconscious, and the mind will try and interpret it. But you have the ability to discern its meaning now. You can interpret it back with the heart, genuinely, with your intuition, your actual spiritual wisdom, not just logically and rationally. So the warning is to not try to feel with your mind or reason with your heart, right? Separate the processes. Now that they've been separated, your masculine was working on the emotional, and you were stuck in the mind, right? Together you complement now. They will appear as now the crueler, the harsher, or the more detached, even to a point of, coldness, and they express very little, that they transmit, especially to you. You already know, they don't have to say it, you know where their actions stem from, etc. And vice versa for you now, all the rational and trying to be practical and going for it with a strategic approach. I'm just going to learn as much as possible and trying to find shortcuts and keys and answers. And you, on the other hand, you're snapping back into softness, tolerance, compassion, genuinely. And you're going to balance each other out. Faith, which obviously you were lacking all along. It was buried under the layers of counterfeit versions of faith, whereas there were expectations, specific outcomes that you were looking for. Give me the money, give me the dude, give me this, give me that. Heal me, help me, fix me. So you're snapping out of that, reborn. Back to bestowal, back to seeing yourself as a blessing unto the world, as a means to an end, as an expression of the divine, a holy spark. So therefore you're going more from intuition, even if it doesn't make sense. So he's the mind, you're the heart now, right? Vice versa, you're going to flip it. He has your heart, you have your mind or your communication skills or whatever. You got it, right? You got it, how you're going to flip it back, right? Complement one another. Do not discount. He basically conquered your anima, and you've got his animus. Do not discount your imagination, for it is through an inspired thought that something beautiful is created. You will soon be inspired by an inner vision. Your imagination is real. It can and will become your reality if you trust in the power of love. The imagination is a magical and creative force full of endless possibility. So the fires of life, in reality, they're described as blue, or rather, this is fire on the heart. It means fires out of the waters, the very symbolism of the dragon. This is also associated with blood. So this was predestined. This is ancestry and so on. It's also known that sometimes it's seen as the blue fire. It mixes. When fire and water meet, it's a twin flame dynamics. It's integration. If there's something connecting them, right? Spirit, basically. Faith, God Himself. So this is the blue fire. As I said, I saw this being with blue eyes. But they weren't actually blue because they were veiled. This is someone who's learned to see without seeing. Many blessings. I hope this helps you. I know it sounds a bit... I never really speak about what I see, but I feel this was extremely important or relevant to someone. And with a very specific interpretation. I try not to go into general meanings or deeper meanings or specific meanings according to whatever philosophy or one may be currently. Because it's going to apply. Ultimately, I'm sure you can have your own interpretations. But this was a reminder for someone that you are ready for integration. You are actually one of the few that is going to meet their twin, encounter them in the physical. In this age, that's very important. And we're grateful for that. But it's also rare. Because those who go to battle, most do not return. So these are spiritual heroes. And it's important because it reminds others that it can be done. So it's restoring hope and willingness to work on building heaven on earth, right? It's a reminder of where we actually all come from love. And there's nothing but Him. He is love, light, truth. So now that you see the enemy, right? There's no more fear, there's no more attempt to control, there's just presence. Take everything that comes with it. And in the end, if you're concerned about it not being worth it, of course it is, except you're not going to get what your ego wants. You're going to get what your soul needs and is ready for, not sooner nor later than when you're supposed to. Let me look at, it's okay, it's on. I thought I once again spoke for so long like a moron, though I try to detach, not to really see how weird this is to speak to a screen, but yeah. With my mic turned off, or going off. But yeah, if it did happen, it happened for the 12 signs. Actually, it took me 2 hours to do the last 12 signs. So I had to redo it. I felt, okay, never mind, take a deep breath, do it again. I did again. Of course, it was harder to do, and it was shorter than the initial, because I actually planned a full-on, blown, deeper insight for each sign. But it's never how we plan it. You see, you have to go with it. Don't be triggered by every minor shift or change in your plan. How about stop making them? Apologize. For example, do you think I plan to sit here right now? Nah. Muddled, unclear thinking. That's your problem right there. Family wishes come true. The well. Go in the depths to pick up the water. Abundance and prosperity. You do not lack. Shut up. The most difficult part of a situation is over. The rainbow. Hallelujah. Praise be the Most High. Remember to give thanks and praises. Oh, sorry. To the Most High. I've been sick. I don't know how long. I managed to keep it at bay, but I never really healed. Anyway, lungs compromised, throat, sinus, it's all compromised. But here we are. Maybe that's how I'm supposed to deliver it. I do apologize if that disturbed you. My voice is problematic sometimes. But hey, good morning. Have an amazing day. If it's evening, go rest now. Relax. Empty your mind. Not completely, hey. But, send thoughts away that don't belong there anymore. Tell them to just pluck off, go work on someone else. Thank you, no thank you. Imagine as if you're walking in the world and many will come to you selling lots of stuff, right? Do you need them? Do you need that? Don't be distracted. Don't be distracted, okay? Shalom.